You're looking at the limestone interior of the Abu Ruash pyramid, and this is the core, and we can descend into the core in this unique structure, unlike the other pyramids.
Oh my god, what's this? Wow. Very deep pit. That looks to me like a boat pit.
No way. Look at these lines. Look at these striations.
Exactly.
Look at these striations.
And also the higher parts and the lower parts shows that it was not all cut at once.
Exactly.
It was like,
Especially here. This
here and here.
Exactly.
Yeah, here and there.
Exactly. You can see where the blade came back.
And we're talking about red granite from Aswan. How did they bring it up here? We are here in a mountainous region.
The Giza Plateau is one of the most iconic and mysterious ancient sites on Earth, home to the Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, and numerous other relics of antiquity. It has captured the imaginations of explorers, historians, and enthusiasts for centuries. While many can easily picture the grandeur of these structures, few realize that these monuments are still steeped in mystery. Despite centuries of study, questions remain unanswered about who built them, and more intriguingly, why. Just 5 miles to the southwest of Giza, within the lesser-known necropolis of Zoyet El Arian, lies a site that may hold the key to solving some of Egypt's greatest mysteries. In May 1900, Italian architect and Egyptologist Alessandro Basanti was researching the Leia pyramid at Zoyet El Arian. Having previously discovered the tomb of Akhenaten, Basanti had earned a respected reputation in his field. However, the Leia pyramid disappointed him. It was crumbling, incomplete, and devoid of artifacts. Like other Egyptologists before him, Basanti concluded the pyramid had been abandoned due to the death of the king who commissioned it. Discouraged, Basanti began his return journey to Giza, but he took an alternative route along an upper plateau, offering sweeping views of the landscape. It was here that he noticed something unusual: scattered granite fragments and fine granite powder, evidence of stone cutting. Basanti immediately suspected this was where ancient workers had prepared stone for a hidden tomb. Intrigued, Basanti returned to Giza and assembled a team to explore the site. Within 2 days of excavation, his intuition proved correct. Beneath the sand, Basanti uncovered the entrance to an enormous limestone pit. To his surprise, the pit was filled with large limestone blocks, each weighing several tons, seemingly thrown in without care, suggesting a deliberate attempt to conceal what lay below. On December 8th, at a depth of 21 meters, the team uncovered a significant find: a large pink granite block. Granite was not only more valuable than limestone, but also harder to work with, reserved for only the most important structures. This discovery convinced Basanti that they had found something special. As excavation continued, more pink granite blocks were revealed, suggesting a massive subterranean structure. By February 1905, Basanti and his team uncovered a 30-ton granite block that seemed to mark the bottom of the pit. Basanti believed this was the entrance to a subterranean world, potentially filled with tombs and treasures. Complicating the mystery, his team also found inscriptions carved into the stones. Despite sending sketches to Egyptologists in Giza and Cairo, no one could agree on their meaning or origin. This deepened Basanti's conviction that something extraordinary was hidden below. Basanti used machinery to move the granite blocks, but they were interlocked like puzzle pieces. Digging further, Basanti made his most astonishing discovery yet: an oval-shaped vat carved from pink granite, polished to a mirror-like finish. It had been carefully sealed with layers of lime and clay. When the team removed the lid, they found no treasure, only a thin black residue along the walls. Basanti hypothesized that the vat once contained a liquid offering that had evaporated over time. Despite the disappointment, Basanti believed the mysterious vat held great significance. Why had the builders gone to such lengths to protect it? Determined to solve the puzzle, Basanti continued his excavation, uncovering a massive cork-like granite block sealing off what he believed were hidden chambers below. Word of Basanti's discoveries spread, but many of his colleagues remained skeptical. They insisted the pit was merely the foundation of an unfinished pyramid. However, Basanti pressed on, and two events seemed to support his theory. First, his team uncovered a well-finished staircase at the pit's northern end. Too refined for labourers, as if it led to ceremonial chambers. Then, a torrential rainstorm flooded the pit, only for the water level to drop suddenly, as if it had seeped into a hidden chamber below. Despite mounting obstacles, including the complex interlocking granite blocks and dwindling funds, Basanti continued his work. By 1906, however, he ran out of money and had to stop the excavation. He spent years searching for new funding and finally secured it in 1911. Yet even with renewed efforts, the work proved too difficult. And once again, Basanti was forced to abandon the project before uncovering what lay beneath the pit. He died in 1917, leaving the mystery unresolved. Basanti's work sparked a lingering curiosity about Zawiet El Arian, but the site lay dormant for decades after his death. In the 1950s, it briefly resurfaced as the set for the movie The Land of the Pharaohs, but it was soon forgotten again. Basanti's notes eventually caught the attention of Italian scholars Vito Maragioglio and Celeste Rinaldi, who set out to continue his work in the 1960s. However, their efforts were cut short when, in 1964, the Egyptian government restricted access to Zawiet El Arian, designating it as a military base. This abrupt restriction of access raised suspicions. Why was the government blocking off this site just as interest in it was reviving? To this day, many Egyptologists assert there is no mystery at Zawiet El Arian, claiming the pit is simply the foundation of an unfinished pyramid. Yet Basanti, who studied Egypt's ancient wonders for decades, was adamant that this was no ordinary pyramid foundation. If the pit was just a foundation, why go to such lengths to construct a floor made of interlocking granite blocks, held together by strong mortar and designed to be nearly impossible to move? Furthermore, why use valuable pink granite, which had to be transported from Aswan, nearly 600 miles away, if the structure was to be buried under a pyramid? Limestone, far easier to source and work with, would have sufficed. Then, there was the mystery of the inscriptions Basanti found at the site. Scholars to this day remain divided on their meaning. And what about the finely crafted oval vat? If this was a pyramid foundation, why go to such great lengths to intricately carve this vat, polish it, and seal it with lime and clay? In recent years, a new theory has emerged, connecting the mystery of Zawiet El Arian to the Great Pyramid of Giza. For centuries, the Great Pyramid has puzzled historians. Conventional wisdom holds that it was built as a tomb for Pharaoh Khufu, but no human remains, treasures, or artifacts have ever been found inside, leading many to question this explanation. In the 1960s, Edward Kunkel proposed a radical theory. The Great Pyramid was not a tomb, but a massive water pump designed to irrigate the desert. Kunkel argued that the pyramid's internal chambers and passages functioned as part of a hydraulic system. His theory was met with skepticism, but some engineers saw merit in the idea. They pointed out that a ram pump, which uses gravity to move water, could have worked on the scale Kunkel proposed. By the 1990s, marine engineer John Cadman took Kunkel's theory further. He studied the pyramid's subterranean chamber and found signs of water damage. Cadman built a scale model of the pyramid's subterranean chamber and confirmed that it could function as a water pump. His experiments led to an unexpected discovery. The pyramid generated powerful compression waves, pulses that could create electricity. This raised a startling question. Could the ancient Egyptians have used the Great Pyramid to generate electricity? Cadman's research suggested it was possible. The pyramid's outer casing of insulating white limestone, its granite interior, and its gold capstone all pointed to a design capable of generating and harnessing electrical energy. With this new perspective, researchers revisited the mystery of Zawiet El Arian. Could the pit have been part of an ancient electrical system connected to the Great Pyramid? Some believe the oval vat may have played a key role in this system, with the black residue providing evidence of a long-lost process for generating electricity. Perhaps this is why the Egyptian government sealed off Zawiat el-Arian in the 1960s. What secrets lie beneath the pit? Could it hold proof of an ancient civilization's advanced technology? As research continues, we may one day uncover the truth about an ancient Egypt far more advanced than we ever imagined.
The Great Pyramid, mostly that's the one that's been studied. We actually haven't done a whole lot of studying on the other pyramids. It's something that's severely lacking. In fact, we've not even cleared off the bases of some of the other pyramids up at Giza. It's crazy.
So you can understand why people start to question the historical narrative.
The reality of them is probably stranger and more interesting than anything people can think up in terms of fiction.
For centuries, we've believed that the ancient Egyptians were the masterminds behind this architectural marvel. But what if they weren't? What if instead, they simply moved into these colossal structures? Join us as we explore groundbreaking theories, unravel new discoveries, and challenge everything we thought we knew about one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
I'm willing to accept that the Great Pyramid was largely completed by the ancient Egyptians.
The Great Pyramid of Giza, built during the 4th dynasty of Egypt for Pharaoh Khufu around 2580 to 2560 BC, has long captured the imagination of people worldwide. The discovery of its entrance and the subsequent exploration of its interior chambers have significantly deepened our understanding of ancient Egyptian architecture and burial practices. For centuries, the entrance to this monumental structure was a mystery. Originally, the pyramid was encased in smooth Tura limestone, which concealed any openings. By the time explorers began their quest, most of this casing had been stripped away, revealing the underlying structure.
The Great Pyramid was sealed. It was a sealed monument.
The first recorded discovery of the entrance dates back to 820 AD when the Caliph al-Mamun ordered an expedition to uncover the pyramid's secrets.
The Caliph al-Mamun, who was running Egypt at the time, wanted to get inside the Great Pyramid.
His workers supposedly found the hidden entrance after hearing a stone fall within the pyramid. They located the entrance about 17 meters above the ground on the northern face, slightly to the east of the central axis. This discovery led them to a descending passageway. From the entrance, the descending passageway measures about 1.2 meters high and 3.5 wide, sloping downwards at an angle of approximately 26 degrees.
Is there not a hidden chamber as well?
In fact, there is a whole underworld at Giza. This is beginning to be recognized.
This passage extends for about 105 meters into the pyramid, eventually reaching the subterranean chamber, also known as the pit. This chamber lies beneath the pyramid, carved into the bedrock, and is unfinished, roughly hewn, and not fully smoothed out like other parts of the pyramid. Measuring approximately 27 by 14 meters and about 8.6 meters high at its highest point, the chamber's purpose remains unclear.
We actually don't know what these chambers were for. No burial of any pharaoh was ever found inside the Great Pyramid.
Some theories suggest it was an early attempt at a burial chamber or simply an unfinished part of the construction. Halfway along the descending passageway, an ascending passageway branches off upwards. Similar in dimensions to the descending passageway, it extends for about 39 meters before reaching the Grand Gallery. The entrance to the ascending passageway was originally concealed by a stone block, adding an extra level of security. The Grand Gallery is one of the pyramid's most impressive features. It is a steeply inclined corridor, measuring about 46.6 meters in length, 8.6 meters in height, and 2.1 meters in width at the base, narrowing slightly towards the top. The walls of the Grand Gallery are lined with precisely cut stones, and the ceiling consists of corbelled stone blocks, creating a vaulted appearance. The floor has a series of slots, possibly for the placement of beams or to aid in the transportation of heavy objects. Approximately halfway along the Grand Gallery, a horizontal passageway leads to the so-called Queen's Chamber. This chamber is smaller than the King's Chamber, measuring about 5 3/4 meters by 5 1/4 meters, with a height of 6 1/4 meters. The walls are smooth and the ceiling is pointed, forming a gabled roof. The exact purpose of the Queen's chamber is still debated. It might have been intended as a secondary burial chamber or a symbolic chamber for the pharaoh's spirit. Continuing up the Grand Gallery, a horizontal passage leads to the King's Chamber, the most important room in the pyramid. The King's Chamber is rectangular, measuring about then and half by 5.2 meters, and has a flat roof composed of massive granite beams. The chamber's walls are also lined with granite, and the floor consists of large granite blocks. Inside the King's Chamber is a large granite sarcophagus, believed to have held Khufu's body. The sarcophagus is too large to have been brought in through the existing passages, indicating it was placed during the construction of the pyramid. Above the King's Chamber are 5 relieving chambers, designed to distribute the weight of the pyramid and prevent the roof of the King's Chamber from collapsing. These chambers are separated by large horizontal slabs of granite, each layer relieving some of the weight above. In recent times, advanced technologies like ground-penetrating radar and Moon tomography have been employed to explore the pyramid further. These methods have led to the discovery of previously unknown voids and chambers, such as the Scan Pyramid's Big Void, a large empty space above the Grand Gallery discovered in 2017. The purpose of this void remains a mystery and continues to be a topic of ongoing research and speculation. The area surrounding the Great Pyramid of Giza, also known as Khufu's Pyramid, has been a treasure trove of archaeological discoveries.
I think there's a lot more remains to be discovered under the Giza Plateau.
Yeah.
These finds offer remarkable insights into ancient Egyptian civilization, their burial practices, religious beliefs, and daily life. One of the most intriguing discoveries is the solar boat pits, unearthed in 1954 by Egyptian archaeologist Kamal El-Malakh. These pits contain 2 intact boats buried near the Great Pyramid, positioned on the southern side. Known as solar barks, these boats were believed to serve a dual purpose. They were intended for Khufu's journey with the sun god Ra across the sky during the day and through the underworld at night. Another theory suggests they might have been used in the funerary procession of the pharaoh. The boats are made of Lebanese cedar wood, meticulously assembled without nails. The larger boat measures about 43.6 meters in length and features a sophisticated design with a cabin, oars and rope bindings, using a technique known as mortise and tenon. The first boat was painstakingly reconstructed over 14 years by Egyptian conservator Ahmed Youssef Mustafa and is now displayed in the Khufu Boat Museum beside the Great Pyramid. The second boat remains in situ, awaiting advanced preservation techniques. In the early 1990s, Egyptian archaeologist Zahi Hawass and his team made a groundbreaking discovery southeast of the Great Pyramid, the tombs of the workers who built the pyramids. The tombs provided evidence that the builders were paid laborers who worked in 3-month rotating shifts, reflecting the societal structure and economy of the Old Kingdom. The tombs contained skeletal remains showing signs of healed injuries, indicating that workers had access to medical care. Pottery shards, tools, and remnants of food supplies such as bread and beer were also found, shedding light on their diet and daily life. The presence of beef and fish bones suggests that the workers received good nutrition. The tombs were simple, yet carefully constructed from mud brick and limestone, indicating a level of respect for the workers. Some tombs had hieroglyphic inscriptions and modest grave goods, signifying the workers' social status and the reverence afforded to them. Another significant discovery was made in 1925 by American archaeologist George Reisner when he uncovered the mastaba of Queen Hetepheres I, the mother of Khufu, in the Giza necropolis. Located to the northeast of the Great Pyramid, the tomb was initially hidden under debris. The tomb contained a large cache of funerary equipment, including a golden throne, a gilded bed with a canopy, chairs, a palanquin, and various personal items such as jewelry and cosmetic boxes. The craftsmanship of these items highlights the luxurious lifestyle of the royal family and the high level of artisanship of the period. Interestingly, Hetepheres' body was never found, leading to theories that her mummy might have been relocated or never placed in the tomb. Some suggest the burial equipment might have been prepared in anticipation of her death, but used for another purpose. The remains of Khufu's pyramid temple have been uncovered through various excavations conducted over the years, with significant contributions from archaeologists such as Mark Lehner and Zahi Hawass. The pyramid temple was a site for offerings and rituals to honor the deceased pharaoh Khufu, It played a central role in the funerary cult, where daily rituals and ceremonies ensured the pharaoh's immortality. The temple's remains include large limestone blocks, column bases, and fragments of statues and altars. The temple layout typically featured a courtyard, a hypostyle hall, and sanctuaries. The temple was connected to the pyramid by a causeway, which was used for processional purposes. Various small artifacts, including inscribed blocks, offering tables, and fragments of statues, have been found. These artifacts shed light on the religious practices of the time, the artistic styles, and the materials used. Notably, fragments of a life-size statue of Khufu have been uncovered, providing insights into the pharaoh's appearance and royal iconography. The tomb of Khentkaus-III, discovered by archaeologists in the early 20th century, is also referred to as the Fourth Pyramid due to its unique design. Located to the southeast of the Great Pyramid within the Giza necropolis, the tomb features a unique design that combines elements of both a pyramid and a mastaba. It includes a stepped pyramid base with a superstructure that might have been intended as a pyramid but was left unfinished.
The archaeologists and the prehistorians, people are looking at that, have failed to take into account the severity of these events we're talking about. You don't realize the extent of the total remodeling of this planetary surface that took place. Because the question always is, where are the artifacts? Where's the pottery? Where is the evidence that this civilization existed?
Randall Carlson's theory about advanced ancient civilizations is truly fascinating and a bit of a departure from what we usually hear in mainstream archaeology. He's suggesting that highly sophisticated societies might have existed tens of thousands of years ago, way before the traditional cradles of civilization like Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, and China came into the picture. Imagine civilizations thriving before or even during the last ice age, which wrapped up around 11,700 years ago. That idea alone pushes back the conventional timeline of human development by several thousand years. Now, when you look at the evidence Carlson brings to the table, it's primarily centered around those massive and mystifying megalithic structures scattered across the globe. Take the pyramids of Giza, for example. Their alignment with the stars of Orion's belt and the precision of their construction is just mind-blowing. Or Stonehenge, with its solstitial alignment standing there on the Salisbury Plain.
Two of these shafts go all the way through the body of the pyramid and exit on the outside and actually point at particularly significant stars.
These structures suggest that the people who built them had a far more advanced understanding of astronomy than we usually give them credit for. Carlson dives into the engineering and architectural skills of these ancient builders. He talks about how they constructed these massive stone structures, some involving stones weighing several tons. Just think about the logistics of transporting and precisely placing these enormous stones over great distances. It indicates a level of engineering know-how and physical physics that seems way ahead of their time. Now moving on. Randall Carlson's theory about ancient civilizations is absolutely something different, isn't it? He really makes you think about the roots of our history in a new way. Just consider the megalithic structures scattered all over the world.
When you account for the rise of sea level and the isostatic subsidence of the sea floor, it's not at all implausible that you had a large island complex in the mid-Atlantic Ocean.
Carlson sees these as evidence of advanced prehistoric civilizations. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, is made up of over 2 million stone blocks, each weighing tons, and they're all placed with incredible precision. It's not just about the sheer size, but the sophistication in their construction. And it's not just in one place. These megalithic structures are everywhere, from the stone circles in Europe to the pyramids in Egypt and Mesoamerica. Carlson points out that the similarities in construction techniques and astronomical alignments across different cultures hint at a possibly shared or globally distributed source of knowledge. It's like these ancient builders were all tapping into the same advanced understanding, which is pretty mind-blowing to think about. Now, where it gets even more intriguing, is how Carlson links the disappearance of this advanced knowledge to catastrophic events. He often refers to the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, suggesting that a comet impact might have triggered drastic climatic changes at the end of the Ice Age.
You may have periods of time where you have multiple impacts occurring over a short period of time associated with the destruction and disintegration of large comets.
Imagine massive flooding, climate shifts, and entire civilizations collapsing. It's like something out of a movie, but Carlson suggests it could be what wiped out these advanced societies and their knowledge. But here's the thing. He thinks this lost knowledge didn't just vanish. According to Carlson, it lived on in myths, legends, and religious texts, which he sees not just as stories, but as historical records. Take the flood myths, for example, like Noah's Ark or the Epic of Gilgamesh. Carlson sees these as allegorical references to actual historical events, like massive post-glacial flooding. He believes that remnants of knowledge from these advanced civilizations were passed down through generations, albeit in a fragmented and symbolically encoded way. Moving back to megalithic structures, Randall Carlson's work on the astronomical alignments of megalithic structures is like peeling back layers of history to reveal the deep astronomical knowledge of ancient civilizations. Take the megalithic temples of Malta, Hagar Kim, and Menajdra, for instance. These structures aren't just old, they're among the oldest freestanding structures in the world, dating back to around 3,200 BC. What's really remarkable about them is how they demonstrate an intricate understanding of celestial movements, particularly the solar cycle. When you look at these temples, especially during the equinoxes, it's like watching a celestial dance choreographed by ancient architects. At Menajdra on the equinoxes, the sunlight filters through a specific aperture, illuminating an inner stone slab. It's this incredible precision that highlights how the builders weren't just stacking stones, they were aligning them with celestial events, marking the change of seasons with architectural precision. But it's not just about alignments. The architectural design itself is a marvel.
Some reference to such an event can be traced in many of the legends and myths surrounding these stars that have come down to us from nations far removed from each other.
The layout of the temples seems carefully planned to align with the sun's position at significant times of the year. For example, the main axis of Hagar Chim is almost perfectly oriented to where the sun rises during the solstices. It shows a level of planning and understanding of the sun's movements. And then there's the construction itself. We're talking about huge megaliths, each weighing several tons, placed with such accuracy that they align with celestial events. It wasn't just a matter of brute force, it required sophisticated knowledge of astronomy and construction techniques. Plus, they used local limestone, which is abundant in Malta. The complexity of these temples goes beyond just their size or the weight of the stones. They have multiple apses, altars, and intricate carvings, all forming part of a complex architectural design. The series of semicircular chambers connected by a central corridor, and their alignment with specific astronomical events. The pyramids of Giza, especially the Great Pyramid, the precision with which these pyramids align to the cardinal points of the compass is just mind-boggling. Think about it. The Great Pyramid, built for Pharaoh Khufu around 2580–2560 BC, is aligned almost perfectly north, south, east, and west. The northern side aligns to within a fraction of a degree of true north. Considering the era it was built in, that's an incredible feat of geometry and astronomy. The construction techniques themselves are a mystery. The ancient Egyptians might have used stars or the sun's path to find true north, which implies they had advanced surveying techniques and a deep understanding of angles and straight lines. It's impressive when you consider the tools and technology available at the time. Then there's the fascinating Orion correlation theory. This theory suggests that the layout of the three main pyramids at Giza mirrors the stars in Orion's belt. Proponents like Robert Bauval believe this alignment was intentional, reflecting a belief in the connection between the heavens and the afterlife.
They speak of these two regions of the sky, the southern sky with the stars of Orion, and can we move one slide up? Here's a nice view of them. They're pristine, by the way. It's really eerie how they carve those texts by hand, and some of the details is extraordinary.
With Orion associated with Osiris, the god of rebirth and the afterlife, the pyramids in this view were not just tombs but also celestial maps and gateways for the pharaoh's soul to the afterlife. The smallest pyramid, Menkaura's pyramid, is slightly offset, mirroring the offset of the smallest star, Mintaka, in Orion's belt, which adds another layer of intrigue to this theory. The design of the pyramids also incorporates alignments with the sun and specific stars and constellations. For example, certain shafts within the Great Pyramid align with particular stars. These could have been more than architectural features. They might have held spiritual significance, possibly serving as pathways for the pharaoh's soul to the stars. Also, on specific days of the year, the sun sets between the pyramids, creating a visual spectacle likely significant in ancient Egyptian ceremonies. Now one of the most known megalithic structures.
Would it be fair to say that there's an element of a rediscovery of a lost technology from the past?
I think it would be fair to say that, yes.
Stonehenge, out there on the Salisbury Plain in Wiltshire, England. What's particularly fascinating about Stonehenge is its astronomical alignment and how it was constructed. The way it lines up with the summer solstice is probably what it's most famous for. On the longest day of the year, the sun rises right over the heel stone, which is set just outside the main stone circle. As the sun comes up, its rays shoot straight through the entrance and light up the center of the circle. Stonehenge also aligns with the winter solstice and possibly other celestial events. During the winter solstice, the sunset is framed by those massive stone trilithons, and some experts think it might even line up with lunar phenomena, which just adds another layer to how the builders understood both the sun and the moon's movements. When you think about how Stonehenge was built, it's even more mind-blowing. The final form was completed around 2500 BC, but it was built in phases over about 1,500 years. The main part of the monument is made up of these huge sarsen stones arranged in a circle, and there are smaller blue stones that were brought over from Wales. That's over 150 miles away. And then there's the layout of the stones. They're set up in this specific geometric pattern with an outer circle, an inner horseshoe arrangement, and those trilithon structures. The precision in the layout and how the stones are oriented show a really deep understanding of geometry and astronomy. It's not just a bunch of rocks placed randomly. Everything at Stonehenge is set up with purpose and meaning, which makes you wonder a little bit, doesn't it?
For people that haven't heard of the labyrinth, it was one of the ancient wonders of the world. Like, this was described by Herodotus and Pliny the Elder and Strabo and all these historical figures that saw it. Herodotus described it as exceeding in splendor and wonder that of the pyramids. Like this was the labyrinth was this sort of 1,000-room structure that was supposedly just absolutely magnificent. You could have fit all of the temples of Karnak and Luxor and all of the temples of Egypt into its footprint. That was just lost to the sands of time. We've never known where it is or what it is, and it would be like a pyramid. It would rival the Great Pyramid for sure if we were to find it. But it turns out we found it.
Nestled near the Fayum oasis, the Hawara pyramid site may appear unremarkable today, but to ancient historians it was a place of awe and grandeur. Herodotus, often called the father of history, described it in terms that still leave modern scholars in awe. He recounted that compared to the labyrinth he encountered, even the grandest Greek temples and pyramids paled in both effort and expense. It was a structure of such enormous scale and complexity that it surpassed even the famous pyramids of Egypt. For centuries, however, many dismissed his account as fanciful or exaggerated, especially given Herodotus's reputation for embellishment. However, as time passed, more of his descriptions have been vindicated, particularly regarding his accounts of Lake Moeris near Hawara. He spoke of 2 pyramids rising nearly 93 meters above the surface of the water, each crowned with a seated stone statue. In the late 19th century, famed British archaeologist Flinders Petrie confirmed the presence of 2 seated colossi, each about 18 meters high and made of hard quartzite sandstone. This discovery was one of many that would lend credence to Herodotus's words. The site of the Hawara pyramid holds far more than just these statues. When researchers began to investigate the pyramid itself, they unearthed evidence of remarkable ancient engineering. Despite its present appearance, a crumbling pile of dark mud, the pyramid conceals a megalithic core built with astounding precision. Beneath its decayed exterior, the masonry is of exceptional quality, with blocks fitted so tightly that not even a blade could slip between them. This core represents 2 distinct types of ancient technologies. One, the megalithic stone core, and the other, a more fragile mud brick construction that has long since crumbled. Flinders Petrie, a pioneer in the study of ancient Egyptian architecture, was the first to delve into this mystery in detail. He noted that the stone casing of the pyramid had been removed during Roman times, leaving the interior exposed to the elements. Unlike other pyramids of the time, the entrance to this one was on the south side, not the north, and lay at ground level. It was designed with descending passages that had ramps on both sides, resembling a system for moving heavy cargo. This unique layout distinguished the Hawara pyramid from others in Egypt, leading Petrie to believe that its original purpose may have been different from typical pyramids. One of the most astonishing aspects of the structure is its system of trapdoors. Massive stone slabs weighing around 20 tons each, designed to seal off passageways. Petrie discovered 3 such trapdoors, all of which had been left open. His exploration of the pyramid led him to a central chamber carved from a single block of quartzite sandstone, forming a large tank-like structure in which a sarcophagus was placed. This colossal monolith, weighing over 110 tons, had been hewn with such precision, Petrie marveled at the technical skill required to carve and place such an enormous block of stone into a carefully excavated hollow. What truly puzzled Petrie, however, was the design of the tomb itself. There was no visible entrance, and the only way the pharaoh's body could have been placed inside would have been during the construction of the pyramid. Even more curiously, no inscriptions were found inside the chamber or on the sarcophagus, a rarity for a royal tomb. Instead, Petrie found only traces of charred bones, charcoal, and remnants of burnt diorite, suggesting that whatever had once been inside the sarcophagus had been deliberately destroyed by fire. The mystery deepened when Petrie examined a second sarcophagus in the chamber, one that appeared to have been added after the pyramid's construction. This later addition was smaller and lacked the technical precision of the original sarcophagus, raising questions about the purpose and timeline of the additions to the tomb. It was as though the pyramid had been used for multiple, distinct purposes over time, each contributing to its enigmatic history. While Petrie focused on the pyramid, he also uncovered evidence of a much larger structure nearby. The legendary Labyrinth of Egypt, which had long been mentioned in ancient texts. Herodotus had described it as a massive complex of 3,000 rooms, arranged in a maze-like formation, some above ground and others below. He was forbidden from entering the underground chambers, as they were said to house the tombs of kings and sacred crocodiles. Yet what Herodotus saw above ground left him awestruck, and later historians would echo his astonishment. Strabo, a Greek geographer who visited the site centuries later, described the labyrinth's monolithic ceilings and walls, each constructed from enormous slabs of stone. When Petrie began excavating the area in front of the Hawara pyramid, he uncovered evidence of this labyrinth beneath the remains of a later village. Beneath the village, he found layers of stone chips and fragments, the remains of what had once been an enormous stone structure. He concluded that this was indeed the foundation of the fabled labyrinth. His findings aligned with the ancient accounts. The structure was so large that, as he noted, it could have contained the temples of Karnak and Luxor within its boundaries. However, the labyrinth had long since been destroyed, its stones quarried and repurposed by later generations. All that remained were the foundations and fragments, a ghost of the massive structure that had once stood there. And yet, despite the extensive damage, Petrie's findings suggested that this labyrinth had been far more than just a building. It was a monumental work of engineering and architecture that had once awed the ancient world. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of Hawara, it becomes clear that this site still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. The labyrinth described by Herodotus, Strabo, and other classical writers may not be entirely lost. In fact, modern technology has revealed tantalizing clues that suggest much of it may still lie hidden beneath the sands, waiting to be rediscovered. In the 21st century, new technologies have allowed researchers to explore the Hawara site in ways that Petrie could only have dreamed of. Ground-penetrating radar and other advanced tools have given archaeologists the ability to peer beneath the surface without disturbing the ancient ruins. One such expedition in 2008, led by the Mataja project, a team of geophysicists, used radar technology to investigate the area beneath what Petrie had identified as the foundation of the labyrinth. What they discovered was nothing short of remarkable: a vast network of walls and chambers buried deep beneath the surface. Their findings suggested that what Petrie had thought was a foundation might actually have been the roof of the labyrinth, which could still exist underground. The radar scans revealed a grid of rooms and passageways at depths of 8 to 12 meters, confirming the existence of a colossal structure that matched the descriptions given by ancient historians. Despite the significance of these findings, the news was met with unexpected resistance. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, led by Zahi Hawass, requested that the results be withheld from the public, citing concerns about national security. The Mataja team faced delays and obstacles, but after 2 years, they were finally able to publish their report. Their findings supported the ancient accounts of a labyrinth that was far larger than any temple known in Egypt, a structure that had remained hidden beneath the sands for millennia. The labyrinth's complexity and scale raised even more questions about its purpose. Why would such an enormous structure be built underground, and what was it used for? Some researchers speculated that it could have been a secret repository, a place where valuable artifacts or knowledge were stored. Others suggested that it might have served as a ceremonial or religious center, its labyrinthine corridors and chambers designed to disorient and awe those who entered. One of the most intriguing aspects of the labyrinth is its apparent age. The orientation of the structure, which is tilted by 20 to 25 degrees compared to the nearby Hawara pyramid, suggests that it may be much older than the pyramid itself. If this is true, it raises the possibility that the labyrinth predates the pharaohs and could be a relic of a much earlier civilization. Despite the advances in technology, many mysteries remain unsolved. The subterranean chambers have yet to be fully explored, and no one knows what lies within them. Could the labyrinth still contain treasures or texts from an ancient era? Could it hold clues to the origins of the Egyptians, or even earlier cultures that inhabited the region? For now, these questions remain unanswered, as the labyrinth remains buried beneath layers of earth and time.
Here we are at the Osirion, possibly one of the most impressive sites in Egypt, possibly the world. This is officially dated to the time of Seti I, which would have been completely roofed over, thousands of tons of stone in this whole construction, and it really is something to behold.
Hidden deep in the desert sands of Abydos, approximately 350 miles south of the Great Pyramid of Giza, stands the Osirion, a monumental structure shrouded in mystery. Its origins, purpose, and design have baffled archaeologists and researchers for decades. Unlike the well-known temples of ancient Egypt, the Osirion defies traditional pharaonic architectural norms, leading some to believe it could be the product of a much older, technologically advanced civilization. Could this ancient structure hold the key to a forgotten chapter of human history? The first puzzle presented by the Osirion lies in its striking architectural divergence from typical Egyptian temples. While most temples of the pharaonic era adhere to a linear rectangular layout, the Osirion's design breaks the mold with its unique L-shaped configuration. This anomaly alone raises critical questions about the intentions behind its construction. Was it built for a different purpose than Egypt's standard religious edifices? Or does it reflect the architectural style of an unknown, perhaps much older culture? Adding to the mystery is the Osirians' relationship with the nearby temple of Seti Prayus, built during the 19th dynasty. Archaeological evidence suggests that the Osirian predates the temple of Seti Ras by centuries, if not millennia, implying that the site held significant importance long before the reign of Seti. This ancient structure was already in place when Seti chose to build his temple beside it, as though honoring an ancient relic from a bygone era. What made the Osirion so significant, and why did it attract the attention of the Egyptian kings? The sheer scale of the Osirion is awe-inspiring. The core of the structure is composed of massive rose granite blocks, some of which weigh an astonishing 100 tons. These immense stones were quarried from Aswan, located over 200 miles to the south, a logistical challenge that seems insurmountable given the tools and technology traditionally attributed to the Egyptians of the time. Moving these massive blocks across hundreds of miles of desert, and then precisely positioning them in a desert location far from the Nile, is a feat that defies explanation. Without evidence of advanced machinery, how were these massive stones transported and assembled with such precision? The Osirians' architecture, featuring a sophisticated double-layered roofing system and interlocking wedges, suggests a level of engineering knowledge far beyond what ancient Egypt is known to have possessed. The use of granite, a hard and unforgiving material, only adds to the mystery. Working with granite requires advanced tools and knowledge, skills that, according to historical records, the Egyptians had not yet developed during the early dynastic periods. Another striking feature of the Osirian is its complete lack of Egyptian hieroglyphs or artwork. In contrast to nearly every other Egyptian temple or monument, which are richly decorated with carvings, inscriptions, and illustrations, the Osirian is eerily bare. Throughout Egypt's history, temples were frequently renovated, with each generation adding new inscriptions and artwork. Even more unusual is the Osirian's subterranean layout, which is highly uncharacteristic of Egyptian temple architecture. The entire structure lies 15 feet below ground level, leading some researchers to propose that the temple could be far older than its surrounding counterparts. The idea that it predates the buildup of sand and soil that has accumulated over millennia suggests a timeline stretching back to an era before the sands of Egypt's desert even existed in their current form. Water erosion patterns found on the limestone enclosure surrounding the Osirian add yet another layer to the mystery. Some researchers argue that these erosion marks could only have been caused by a much wetter climate, possibly dating the structure back to the end of the last ice age, when the region experienced more rainfall. If true, this would place the Osirian's construction over 10,000 years ago, far earlier than the dynastic Egyptian civilization. Perhaps the most intriguing feature of the Osirian is the presence of water within the structure itself. Modern seismic technology has revealed that the visible portion of the Osirian is only the uppermost part of a much larger complex, which extends at least 50 feet below the current floor level. Beneath the surface, seismic tests have indicated the presence of hollow chambers, which have yet to be explored due to the water that continually fills the site. Despite multiple attempts, archaeologists have been unable to drain the water, which seems to replenish at an alarming rate. The source of this water remains unknown, and its continuous flow presents a baffling enigma. Some researchers suggest that the Osirian's complex hydraulic system, which includes channels, basins, and possibly sluices, was designed to control and manipulate water flow within the structure. The precision of these features points to an advanced understanding of hydraulic engineering, something not typically associated with ancient Egyptian technology. While the Egyptians were known for their use of irrigation canals and basins for agriculture, the Osirians' water management techniques are far more sophisticated. The mysteries of the Osirian continue to deepen as researchers attempt to unlock its secrets. The constant replenishment of water within the structure defies explanation. James Westerman, a renowned archaeologist and historian, has spent decades studying the Osirion. His efforts to pump out the water from the structure have been met with frustration. Even with a pump capable of removing 500 gallons of water per minute, the water level continues to rise, seemingly replenishing itself faster than it can be removed. Westerman's words capture the perplexity of the situation. Water is emerging from inside the structure. This shouldn't be happening, especially in the desert. Something strange is going on here. In 2023, Westerman's team employed advanced technology to analyze the water within the Osirion, measuring its pressure, temperature, conductivity, and chemical composition. The results were astounding. The water in the Osirion was found to have a unique chemical profile, different from the surrounding wells and aquifers in the area. Westerman's research suggested that the water was being forced up through the structure, almost as though it were being propelled by some unknown force. The water's chemical composition and isotopic profile indicated that it did not originate from the nearby Nile River or local aquifers. Where, then, is this water coming from? The Osirion's water behaves more like that of a geyser, but without the typical signs of volcanic activity. Is there an underground spring or reservoir beneath the structure, or could the water be flowing from a deeper, as yet undiscovered source? One of the most intriguing aspects of the water is its unique properties. Westerman conducted hydrologic studies and found that the water within the Osirion was drinkable after filtration. Over time, Westerman began drinking the water regularly, and he noticed something extraordinary. His eyesight began to improve. A lifelong sufferer of nearsightedness, Westerman eventually no longer needed glasses, a fact that was confirmed by an eye test. Could the water from the Osirion possess healing properties? Westerman believes so and continues to drink the water, attributing his improved vision to its mysterious qualities. Yet another anomaly is the temperature of the water. The water outside the Osirion measures a consistent 16.9 degrees Celsius, but the water inside the structure is significantly warmer, measuring 23.8 degrees Celsius. This temperature difference defies the second law of thermodynamics, which states that heat cannot spontaneously transfer from a cooler to a warmer body. Something within the Osirion is heating the water, but no one knows what it is or how it is happening. As researchers continue to study the Osirion, its true scale and purpose remain elusive. What is visible today may only be the tip of the iceberg. The structure extends far beneath the surface, with hidden chambers still unexplored due to the constant flow of water. Could these underground chambers hold more secrets about the origins of the Osirion and its builders? As we probe deeper into the Osirion's mysteries, we are left with more questions than answers. One thing is certain: this ancient structure is far older and more complex than we ever imagined, and it may hold the key to understanding a lost chapter of human history.
There are huge areas of the world that have never been looked at by archaeology at all, or if looked at by archaeology, looked at only minimally. It's really important to understand that archaeology is often driven by accidental finds.
In the shadowed depths beneath the temple of the ancient city of Taposiris Magna, located along the Egyptian coastline, a monumental discovery was made by Kathleen Martinez of the University of Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, and her team.
Let's call in the archaeologists to make sure that we're not going to wreck any ancient archaeology while we're doing this. And that's a lot of archaeological discoveries are made as a result of that.
During their meticulous excavations, they unearthed an extensive tunnel plunging 13 meters underground, expertly carved through 1,305 meters of sandstone. This architectural feat, standing 2 meters tall, has been hailed as a geometric miracle by the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities for its engineering precision and scale.
It's interesting that the patterns are geometrical. Someone made it, and it involved a very large amount of organized labor in order to make it. There had to be the will and the intent in order to do that.
The Eupalinos Tunnel, extending over 10 to 36 meters, was an unparalleled achievement in ancient engineering, mirroring the complexity and ambition of the Taposiris Magna tunnel, though the latter's function remains a mystery. Despite being partially submerged in water, the tunnel's purpose, beyond its architectural resemblance to historical works, is still under investigation. The driving force behind Martinez's dedication to Taposiris Magna since 2004 has been the quest to locate the final resting place of Cleopatra VII, the last queen of the Ptolemaic dynasty.
Are we looking at the traces of a forgotten episode in human history? I think so. I think that's what's going on here.
The excavations at Taposiris Magna have not been in vain, revealing artifacts and signs hinting at the presence of Cleopatra and her ancestors. Founded around 280 BCE by Ptolemy II, a direct descendant of one of Alexander the Great's generals, Taposiris Magna is steeped in the legacy of its founders. The temple, believed to be dedicated to Osiris and his consort Isis, also aligns with Cleopatra's efforts to embody Isis, strengthening her divine legitimacy.
This is a very neglected area of the world as far as deep and ancient archaeology goes.
Discoveries within the temple complex have included coins adorned with the likenesses of Cleopatra and Alexander the Great, alongside figurines of Isis, suggesting a vibrant cultic activity centered around these figures. Additionally, Greco-Roman burial shafts unearthed within the site hint at the potential for finding tombs similar to those Cleopatra and her consort Mark Antony might be interred in, raising the possibility of uncovering their final resting places. Looking forward, the exploration is set to extend into the Mediterranean Sea, following the trail of a series of devastating earthquakes between 320 and 1303 CE that led to the partial submersion of the temple complex. Prior excavations have also indicated a network of tunnels connecting Lake Mariotte to the Mediterranean, suggesting a broader scope of investigation in the quest to unravel the mysteries of Taposiris Magna. The tunnel discovery, yielding artifacts such as pottery and a limestone block, adds to the anticipation of what lies ahead. As articulated by Zahi Hawass, the former Minister for Antiquities, the discovery of Cleopatra and Mark Antony's tomb would be a landmark event of the 21st century. Nonetheless, the significance of the findings at Taposiris Magna transcends the search for royal tombs, shedding light on the rich and complex history of this ancient city. The ongoing excavations promise not only the potential revelation of royal tombs, but also a deeper understanding of the cultural and historical landscape of ancient Egypt. Moving on, the mystery of the Osiris shaft, a hidden gem beneath the sands of the Giza Plateau.
But he found evidence of deliberate burial in a very complicated, difficult cave system, which you can hardly access.
Is this shaft connected with ancient Queen Cleopatra? This ancient marvel is a deep dive into Egyptian engineering brilliance and a profound testament to their religious beliefs. Carved straight into the bedrock and plunging about 30 meters, which is nearly 100 feet underground. It's a 3-level journey into the past, where architecture meets the afterlife. Right at the doorstep of the Pyramid of Khafre, the entrance to this subterranean complex is anything but ordinary. It's like stepping into a different realm, starting with a modest antechamber that serves as your welcome or warning of the mysteries that lie ahead. This first stop is simple yet precise, a showcase of the ancient Egyptians' mastery over stone, but the adventure only deepens from there. A narrow passage takes you to the second level, a larger space carved with burial niches. Imagine this as a VIP section for the afterlife, likely reserved for those with a direct line to the gods or high standing in society. It's a clear sign that you're moving closer to something sacred. Then comes the final plunge to the heart of the Osiris shaft. Here, in the deepest chamber, you're greeted by a scene straight out of mythology. At the center, a massive granite sarcophagus sits partially submerged in water, which seeps in naturally from the limestone. This isn't just an engineering feat, it's a direct nod to Osiris, the god of the afterlife, whose story is intertwined with the Nile itself. The water here isn't just a natural occurrence, it's a symbol of life, death, and rebirth, mirroring the Nile's life-giving floods and Osiris's own resurrection story. The genius of the Osiris shaft isn't just in its construction, though carving such a complex directly into the bedrock, managing groundwater, and ensuring stability is nothing short of astounding. It's also in how it weaves together functionality and deep religious symbolism. This place wasn't just meant for burying the dead, it was a canvas on which the ancient Egyptians painted their beliefs in the afterlife, a physical journey through the underworld that mirrored the soul's passage to eternity. In the end, the Osiris shaft stands as a profound expression of ancient Egyptian architectural and religious thought, a place where the physical and the spiritual meet, carved deep into the earth. The Osiris shaft presents a fascinating narrative of ancient Egyptian beliefs, ingeniously encapsulated in a subterranean complex. This enigmatic site, stretching deep beneath the sands, offers a rare window into the Egyptians' sophisticated burial practices and their reverence for Osiris, the deity of the afterlife and rebirth. The discovery of varied sarcophagi within its depths speaks volumes about the social tapestry and the evolving customs over millennia from the Old Kingdom through to the Ptolemaic period. It's intriguing to see how granite and basalt sarcophagi, earmarked for the elite, coexist with simpler wooden ones, suggesting a resting place for a wide spectrum of society. The assortment of burial goods unearthed here, from pottery intended for afterlife sustenance to ushabti figures meant to serve the deceased beyond death, underscores a firm belief in an existence after life. These artifacts weren't just symbolic, they were envisioned to spring to life in the afterlife, attending to the deceased. The presence of jewelry, amulets, and various ritual objects further accentuates the shaft's spiritual significance, painting a vivid picture of the personal beliefs and the societal stature of those entombed within its chambers. Less common than in grandiose tombs but equally telling are the inscriptions found within the Osiris shaft. These hieroglyphic texts, drawn from the Book of the Dead, offer prayers and spells to aid the deceased's passage through the underworld, revealing the religious literature that permeated burial rites at the time. The shaft's design and function serve as a profound testament to the myth of Osiris, creating a physical manifestation of the underworld and mirroring the god's mythical entombment in the Nile's waters. This architectural homage to Osiris not only marked the site as a burial ground, but also as a sacred space for pilgrimage and worship, drawing followers to engage in rituals and offerings. The use of water in the deepest chamber, symbolizing purification and rebirth, reflects the Nile's life-giving floods controlled by Osiris, reinforcing the deity's association with agriculture and resurrection. Some theories even suggest that the Osiris shaft's alignment might connect the deceased with celestial bodies, embedding them within the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth, a concept that highlights the Egyptians' advanced understanding of cosmology. Exploring the Osiris shaft thus unfolds a rich tapestry of ancient Egyptian life, belief, and architectural prowess. It's a narrative that transcends the mere act of burial, revealing a culture deeply immersed in the mysteries of the afterlife, the divine, and the cosmos. The Osiris shaft stands not just as a monument, but as a bridge between the earthly and the divine, offering invaluable insights into the spiritual and everyday lives of the ancient Egyptians.